Welcome into the DFS Den. It's Dave Eddy here, aka Corporal Eddy on Twitter, back for the championship games, the AFC NFC championship games. Hope you've been enjoying all the showdown videos that I've been making. I've been doing one for each matchup throughout the playoffs, and then I've been making one like this for the entire slate as a whole. Now here we're only down to 2 games, so not a whole lot of choices to go with here, but at each position, we've got a lot of great players, so it is still fun to build, but it's going to be volatile, and it's going to be very hard to get unique. This is going to be more of a showdown type slate than it is going to be a main slate, even though, the format isn't showdown. So it's going to be an interesting combination. I mean, the smaller the slate, the less I like it, because, again, it just becomes so much more volatile. And you pretty much have to hit the nuts to win, substantial amounts of money. So it's still fun, though. So let's just hop into it here. Let's talk about the quarterbacks. I mean, I have interest in every single quarterback on this slate. None more than Jalen Hurts. He's my favorite quarterback here. He's a guy that can do the most on the ground and through the air. Outside of Brock Purdy, I mean, they're close enough in salary. Mahomes is the most expensive, but he's also, right up there with the question marks because of that ankle. Obviously, Brock Purdy has the most question marks. But with Mahomes' ankle, I mean, I'm not sure how much of him I'm going to play. It's going to be interesting because I do think that the Bengals and the Chiefs outscore the 49ers and Eagles, but I do think that the Bengals win that game. And, obviously, I think Mahomes will be out there. I think he'll be relatively healthy. But that lack of mobility, I think, will play a role. And I think that's going to make it to where he may be the one quarterback I don't play, partly because of the ankle and partly because I would like to get a little bit unique. I'm going to lean towards Jalen Hurts here, though, as my quarterback. He can just do everything. A guy can run, he can throw. He looked healthy to me last week. If I'm going to trust anyone this week, I think that's where I'm going to go. And then, 60%, 50-60% probably. And then maybe split up the difference between Burrow and Purdy evenly. I like Burrow more than I like Purdy, but I think Purdy will go lower owned. So I do like the leverage there, a little bit. I mean, you're not gaining a lot because there's only 4 quarterbacks to choose from. So it's not like you're going to be the only one playing Brock Purdy. But I don't know. You got to find ways to try to get different without getting ridiculous. So that's how I look to do that at the quarterback spot. Running backs. Running backs are always going to be interesting here. I'm obviously interested in, all the teams here. It's going to be hard to not have Christian McCaffrey be my top running back. I mean, he comes in at 8K, which, is the highest of any running back and by a wide margin. Hopefully that suppresses his ownership a little bit, but on a 2-game slate, I highly doubt it. You're definitely not going to get unique playing Christian McCaffrey here, but I do think that he is the best play. He's the most well-rounded back. He typically is on any slate, but especially on this one, And then Jerick McKinnon is the other guy that I have a ton of interest in. I just think that, his role as a pass catcher, similar to, McCaffrey's role as a pass catcher, gives him a huge ceiling. Obviously, he doesn't run the ball like McCaffrey does, not even close, but he does have a little bit easier matchup. So we'll see. He's also, half the price almost. Well, I mean, not quite, but, you get my point. He's significantly cheaper. I'm going to mix in some Mixon. I didn't even mean to say that, but I'm going to add in some Mixon as well there. Probably going to cap out, McCaffrey and McKinnon around 75%. I know that's high, but I just really like them in this particular, slate here more than I like the rest. Mixon, 40, 50%. He's just another guy that can, get it done. I do expect that the Bengals win that game. So, wouldn't be surprised to see even a 2-touchdown performance from Mixon. We know he's got the ceiling, game to do more than that, but I can see him having a really good game here as well, considering, the slate. And then I do like Isaac Pacheco. he's not going to be a slate breaker by any means, but he has been very consistent. You can almost chalk him up to 12 points, which, isn't great at his $5,300 salary. But again, you don't have a ton of options here. I would limit your running back to one per team. That's normally kind of, the golden rule on, main slates as it is. Obviously, we've only got a 2-gamer here. So in the right scenario, you could definitely say you throw that one out the window. But here, I don't think I would play McKinnon and Pacheco together. I'm not saying you can't. It is in play on a 2-game slate, with two guys that have, very different roles. I can see it being optimal. That's just something I'm not going to do. And then if you want to slip in some Miles Sanders, I get it. I think Philly's going to, pass and run with Hurts more than anything. I don't think that Sanders is the guy that you're really looking to play. Hasn't scored double-digit points since week 14. So, he's been getting touches, but hasn't been getting into the end zone, and that's what's key. And he hasn't been catching passes either. But that's been all year, so nothing too surprising there. Wide receivers, man, a lot of good pass catchers here, and kind of starts right at the top with Jamar Chase. He's the best receiver on this slate. He's going to be my highest exposure on the slate as well. It's also the most expensive, so you do have to keep that in mind. But I really like the chances of him, being the optimal wide receiver on this slate. So I'm not afraid to bump him up to maybe even 75%, which again, on a normal slate, wide receiver 60% would be like, wow, like this is the guy I love. But on this slate, I could even argue for playing 100% of somebody if you really wanted to. There's just not a lot of options. And then AJ Brown is going to be second on that list there, coming in at $7K, 600 less than Chase. I'm going to be playing a lot of Jalen Hurts, so it just makes sense. I'm going to have a lot of what I think is his highest ceiling pass catcher, AJ Brown. Debo and Ayuk, they both come in pretty reasonably priced, all things considered. Debo's still 57, which ain't bad. Ayuk is 44, which isn't bad at all. I'm going to have some Purdy. So when I play Purdy, I'm stacking them with two pass catchers that are going to be the two main pass catchers along with Kittle. But I'm going to be probably in the 40 to 60% neighborhood there. And then I'm going to sprinkle in some Devontae Smith. I'm going to be, doing a lot of double stacking with Hurts. Goddard's going to be part of that mix. Devontae Smith is going to be part of that mix as well. Kadarius Toney, $3,700. So you're going to save some money with him. And I think that he has an interesting ceiling as well. He's been getting you double-digit points now for the last 3 games. So we do like to see that. And, he can break a big play, and you could see that in this game. So I'm interested there. Obviously, T. Higgins is very interesting. Unlike showdowns or a showdown this week at least, where Chase and Higgins are close in price compared to where they normally are, you've got a $2,200 difference here. T. Higgins is all the way down to $5,400. I think that is a great price for him. And, he was already in play, but that really helps. Juju, Tyler Boyd, there are going to be guys that, I have some exposure to, 10, 15%. You can throw MVS in there as well. Everyone else is a little bit more of a flyer, but if you want to pump a little bit of exposure there, you do have to find a way to get different. So, I can see how you can do that. All right, let's move on over to tight ends, which typically is the dumpster fire of these main slates. But, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. And so we've got a lot of good tight ends, all things considered, for being a 2-gamer. I think Goddard's going to be my number 1 exposed tight end, probably 60% or above. Again, playing a lot of Jalen Hurts. So naturally, Dallas Goedert's going to find his way in. Not opposed to playing 2 tight ends on this slate. Could be a way that just saves some money. So don't think that you can't play multiple tight ends on this slate. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of curious where I'm sitting here. As it sits right now, about a third of my lineups, what I've built so far, have multiple tight ends. I actually thought it'd be a little bit higher, but the pricing here, I think, is pretty decent this week. So I don't think you don't have to force yourself to do that. Hayden Hurst, George Kittle, very interested there as well. Going to mix them in along with Goddard. And then, like I said, you got to find ways to be different. I love Travis Kelce. He is hands down the best tight end in the league, hands down the best tight end on the slate, hands down my favorite stacking partner with Mahomes. But as I mentioned before, when I was talking quarterbacks, Mahomes is the least interesting to me, I think, on the slate. So, and part of that is, to get a little bit unique, to gain some leverage. Because of that, if I'm correct in my theory there and things work out again, I'm not saying Mahomes is the worst play on the slate, but that's how I'm going to build these lineups. Again, trying to be a little bit unique, trying to, hit some lineups and win some money. If I'm going to do that, that also means I'm going to be under on Kelce. I'm obviously not taking him on my player pool or anything crazy like that. And anyone who wants to play Kelce, even at 100%, I say go for it. I mean, hard to ever argue against playing him. But for me personally, that's again where I'm going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be a little bit off Mahomes and Kelce, and hope that pays off for me and doesn't bite me in the ass. Not necessarily, touting that as the way to play this weekend, but that's how it's going to naturally work out for me. Just like on any slate, you can't play everybody, so you've got to pick and choose. This is where I'm picking and choosing. Defenses, I mean, all of these teams have a good defense, but all of these teams are going up against a good offense. They're all really cheap. I mean, I guess the Bengals stand out the most to me, partly because they're the cheapest. Not like salary is as big of a factor as it is on a normal slate, but I'm still, going to lean towards the cheaper defenses. But at the same time, it also fits my narrative that Mahomes is not the best play on the slate as far as quarterbacks are concerned. Kelce is not the best tight end on the slate when all is said and done. So 60-70% of the Bengals is certainly in play. And I'm going to have a mixture of all teams. There's only 4. They're all good. Like I said, they're all pretty much, they're very similar. So I think that the Bengals only stand out to me personally because of the way that I'm building and just because of their salary. So that's what I'm thinking here for championship weekend. If you haven't done so yet, pop on over here, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you get an alert when a new video comes out. Check out the showdowns that I have for this weekend as well, and drop a like on here. I'll look forward to seeing you. We talk in the Super Bowl next time.